Okay, so let's talk about what's included in the package. With the UA5, we'll go over the inputs, outputs, we'll talk about the volume control wheel, then we'll go over the design and build. First, let's talk about what you get in the package. You get a Type-C to Type-C USB cable, which has a braided jacketing on it. Then you also have a Type-C to Type-A USB adapter. As far as the inputs and outputs, you have a Type-C input on the bottom here, and you have a 4.4 balanced output, a 3.5 single-ended output. Then you have the volume control wheel here. It also acts as a selection button whenever you're going through the menu. And then you also have a screen here. As far as the design and the build feels very premium. I like the approach they took to the design. I like the rounded edges. I like how they have the edges kind of follow the shape of the gold volume control wheel. It feels nice in the pocket. It feels very robust. Housing is made out of aluminum, so it definitely feels sturdy and premium. I like the matte black finish, but overall, again, I think it has a very, again, it's light, and I just like the approach to the design they took. Again, it feels and looks very, very premium. Okay, so now let's go over the specifications of the UA5. The UA5 has two ESS DACs, and they are the ES9038Q2M. It has a 220 milliamp battery, which is going to give you, and I tested this, about 6 hours of playtime out of the 3.5 output, about 3 hours out of the 4.4 balanced output. Now, as far as power output out of the 3.5 millimeter single-ended output, you're going to get about 2.1 volts at 32 ohms, which is about 137 milliwatts. And the signal-to-noise ratio out of the 3.5 is 121 dBs, and it has an output impedance of 0.8. The 4.4 millimeter output, the balanced output, you're going to get about 2.6 volts at 32 ohms, which is about 211 milliwatts. And the signal-to-noise ratio out of the 4.4 is 116 dBs, and it has an output impedance of 1.6 ohms. And now the 3.5 millimeter output also doubles as an SPDIF output. So if you want to pass audio through the UA5 to a device that has an optical input using an optical cable, you can do that as well. And along with the dual ESS DACs, this also has dual dedicated headphone amplifiers. And it uses the Rycore RT6863 amplifiers. So, and based on the website, that's just they felt that was a really good pairing with the ESS DACs. And now, as far as audio decoding, this can decode PCM up to 32 bits. And also DSD native 512, so DSD 512. Okay, now like FIO, Shanling also offers an app where you can control some of the features available through the UA5. Again, basically what this does is give you control over some of the features that the UA5 already has built in. So all of these right here you can control within the DAC itself using the built-in menu and the volume wheel, which acts as a selector switch as well. So you don't necessarily need the app, but I thought since they have it, they offer it, I may as well go over what it does offer. It's not very much. The FIO app does offer a little bit more, but this does offer, like you can see here, you can control the volume, the gain, you can select between single and double DAC, you can select the digital filter, you got channel balance, screen off time, charging on and off, screen orientation, or you can utilize the hybrid mode that this offers with the battery, and it also doubles, the app does double as a music player as well. So now I quickly want to go over the built-in menu. Again, we went over the options that you get with the app, and that basically just mirrors what you can do with the device itself. I do find myself actually just using the built-in menu on the device myself. It just seems a little bit faster, a little more convenient, and they make it very easy to navigate through the menu using the volume wheel here. If you push the volume wheel once, you can see that it brings up the main screen, your main information screen. If you hold it down, then that will take you to your other options. You can see here you can select between single and dual DAC. If you push it again, you can select between charging on and charging off. You can switch between high gain and low gain, and also select whether you want to operate the USB in hybrid power mode or regular mode. And then you can select your filter, your channel balance, and SPDIF on-off option. And then you can also choose how long you want the screen to be on, screen brightness, and screen rotation, and then it gives you your version. Okay, now let's talk about the sound of the Shanling UA5. Then we'll also do some comparisons with the other DACs that I have out here. The most recent review that I did was with the Moondrop Moon River 2. And as I explained towards the end of that review, as of that, at that point, the Moon River 2 was my favorite DAC. But I said other than the UA5. And I didn't want to go too far into detail as far as my impressions of the sound of the UA5 other than to say that I liked it a lot, because I didn't want to give away too much. And now as far as pricing and comparisons, the UA5 is the most expensive of these four here. And there are a lot of other DACs and USB DACs that I get a lot of questions in the comments that are also very competitively priced and are very high performers. Unfortunately, a lot of those I haven't had a chance to listen to, so I can't really do comparisons. So again, I just want to acknowledge that I know that there are other USB DACs out there that are less expensive, that sound great and have a lot of great features, but I'm hesitant to do comparisons if I haven't heard something. I mean, I've read about them. I know that I've heard there's a lot of these have a lot of really good reviews. And so based on what I've read, I'm sure they are all great DACs, and again, are priced very well and have great features, but I can't really do comparisons with something I haven't heard myself. So I try to make sure that I'm only going to do comparisons with DACs that I have on hand or that I've heard. And so that being said, the ones I have on hand that I have heard, a lot of the newer ones right here that I have, the FIO KA3, FIO BTR5, 2021, and the Moondrop Moon River 2. And I think this represents, again, a pretty wide spread as far as budgets and performance. The argument could be made that the BTR5 is the better value out of these four, and I would even agree with that, because again, you have Bluetooth. This operates really well as far as even as a USB DAC, and it sounds great. It's got a 2.5 balanced output and a 3.5 single-ended output. It has an app, so the app gives you more control, just like the FIO KA3. So the FIO app is a great app. So you've got really good build quality. So overall, the BTR5, you could argue that is the best value of these four, and that is definitely a valid argument. You have the Moon River 2 here, and doesn't have a whole lot of features really. It's a very basic dongle USB DAC, and you basically have a volume control here. You've got a 4.4 output, balanced output, 3.5 output, but what this offers is lots of power, and not just power, very clean power. So where does that put the Shanling UA5 in terms of value among these four here? I would say that it's not a great value. It's definitely not the best value on the table, but it still is a good value, and I think it's a justifiable cost for what you get with the UA5. Now, and again, I would say the BTR5 is arguably the best value on the table. Now, in terms of pure audio quality, where would I rank the UA5 among these four? I would say it's definitely better than the KA3, better than the BTR5, and it's about the same to me as far as the Moon River 2. Again, one of the things that stood out with the Moon River 2 was the fact that it had a neutral presentation but still maintained a good natural sound. And again, that was something usually it's warmer, it's DACs, USB DACs with a warmer sound signature that tend to come across as more natural to my ear. And so that was one of the things that was kind of unique with the Moon River 2 is its natural sound, even though it had a neutral presentation. Now, the UA5 actually has that warm sound signature that I was referring to when I was reviewing the Moon River 2. The UA5 does have a little more of a, it seems like it just has a little more mid-bass and bass presence, smooth mids, smoother treble presentation than the Moon River 2. Sounds very natural. When I'm listening to instruments, I've been around acoustic instruments my whole life. We have a piano in my house. We have a guitar in my house. I've been around a real drum set my whole life. So my ear is accustomed to hearing the actual instrument right there in front of me. And so when I use the word natural, there is something real about the sound, the tone that some DACs don't have and some DACs do. This DAC has that. It actually has a very natural sound. So when I'm listening to a track that has an acoustic guitar or an acoustic, maybe more of a raw mix of an acoustic guitar or a raw mix of a drum set, this represents that naturally. It sounds real to me. Now, as far as detail and clarity, you've got, all the detail and clarity that I could ever want out of a USB DAC. I would say it's about the same as the Moon River 2. It rivals or sounds as good as some of the higher-end desktop amps that I've heard. Again, this has just a big sound to it, something that really, really caught me off guard. Talk about something that again, like the Moon River 2, that had something special about it. This has something special about it too. And again, it just has that big sound. So this thing is, as far as overall sound quality, again, I would say this rivals some of the nicer higher-end desktop DACs that I've heard. And so that alone, again, when I talk about the value, it not being a great value, but a good value, I understand that when you're looking for something, you want to make sure you're getting the best value. I would say in terms of pure sound performance, this makes that cost worth it, in my opinion. And now, as far as background noise, that was something I forgot to cover earlier in the review. I tested that with the 2020 Andros, and the background on this out of both 3.5 and the 4.4 output is completely black. There is no background noise at all that I could hear. So let me try to wind this down and just summarize my experience with the UA5 and try to maybe put more of a fine point on the ranking of everything that I have right here. Now, again, we've already determined that in terms of value, it's not the best value, but it is a good value. The sound quality, I would say, is on par with the Moon River 2. Definitely more appealing to me as far as the sound signature. As a matter of fact, I remember, that I said this was my favorite in the last review, but I was excluding the comparison with this. If I was forced to choose between these two, I would actually pick the UA5. It just has the sound signature is closer to my preference, almost exactly my preference, and it has all of the technicalities that I could ever want. But it's a close second. Again, I love the Moon River 2. I almost equally am going back and forth between these two right now. I love them both, but I absolutely love the Shanling UA5 as well. All right, well, that concludes my review of the UA5. I want to say thank you to all of the Gizaudio viewers and subscribers. Thank you, Timmy, for allowing me to be a part of the Gizaudio review team. You have put together an amazing channel, and I just really appreciate you. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Please share the video, please like the video, and again, please subscribe to the Gizaudio channel. Hope you guys have an awesome day.